Hi there students! Welcome back again to another video lesson for Grade 7 Mathematics, Quarter 4. So, previously, we have discussed average deviation of group data. So, for the next video lesson, we will be discussing variance and standard deviation. So, this time, group data siya. So, na-discuss na natin yung variance and standard deviation upon group data. So, in here, just like average deviation, we will be using frequency distribution table. So don't worry, I will be discussing the steps in process. So step by step natin i-discuss yan para guided kayo. So let's start. So for the lesson objective, we will calculate the measures of variability of group data, variance, and standard deviation. So, yung source na ginamit natin dito for this lesson is yung grade 8 learning module. It's because during the early years of the K-12 curriculum, so yung measures of central tendency tsaka measures of variability is included po sila sa lesson ng grade 8. So, during 4th quarter sila. Kaya lang, dahil binago na yung ating curriculum guide, so yung central tendency and variability is nasa grade 7 na po yan. So let us define what is variance again. So variance is the mean of the square of the deviations from the mean of a frequency distribution. So mean, average. Okay. So for large quantities, the variance is computed using frequency distribution with columns for the midpoint value, the product of the frequency and midpoint value for each interval, the deviation and its square, and the product of the frequency and the squared deviation. So kapag variance siya at group data yan, marami po yung columns. Anyway, madali lang naman po kung paano i-fill out yung mga column na yon. So, kaya lang, step by step siya. Kapag sa first step, mali ka na, automatically hanggang sa pinakadulo, sa final answer mo, mali na siya. Make sure, dun pa lang sa first step, tama na yung mga values na ine-enter at kino-compute natin. So, yan, i-guide ko kayo kung paano sagutin yan. I-fill out yung frequency distribution. So, what about standard deviation? The standard deviation is considered the best indicator of the degree of the dispersion among the measures of variability because it represents an average variability of the distribution. Okay, so yan ang pinakagamit talaga kapag measures of dispersion or degree of dispersion ang pinag-uusapan natin kung gaano kalalapit, gaano kalalayo yung mga scores, yung mga data, ayan, na ina-analyze natin. Okay, so kapag yung ating mga scores, yung ating mga data ay pare-pareho, just like halimbawa yung mga grades ng 10 students, lahat 90. Okay, so kapag kinuha natin yung standard deviation, 0 po ang magiging sagot natin. Dahil pare-pareho lang naman po yung mga numbers, yung mga grades. Hindi natin makukuha yung dispersion kasi automatically nga 0 siya. And then, given the set of data, the smaller the range, the smaller the standard deviation. The less spread is the distribution. Okay. So, kapag yung range na nakuha natin is mababa, mababa din po yung makukuha nating standard deviation. Ibig sabihin, hindi magkakalayo yung mga score. Hindi sila sobrang layo. Okay. So here are the steps in calculating the variance and standard deviation. So steps ulit ito. So anyway, kahit banggitin ko yung mga steps na yan mamaya, i-apply naman natin, makikita nyo naman kung paano ko isosolve yan at fill out yung mga columns. So first, construct a frequency distribution table. So, kung data po yung given, kailangan nating mag-construct ng frequency distribution table. Anyway, meron naman tayong video lesson dyan kung paano natin i-construct ang frequency distribution table. So, dito sa ating video lesson, given na po agad yung ating frequency distribution table. And then, on the second step, add column for midpoint. So, ayan, familiar na kayo sa midpoint. And then, add column for fx sub m. So, para makuha yung fx sub m na yan, yung product ng frequency and midpoint. So, ipag-multiply lang po natin yan. So, yung frequency tsaka midpoint. And then, add fx sub n, yung product ng frequency and midpoint or class mark for each interval to get the summation. Siyempre, i-add natin yon kasi kailangan nating makuha dyan yung mean. And then, yun yung fifth step. Kailangan nating makompute yung average or yung mean using that formula. Summation of the product of the frequency and midpoint all over n, which is the total frequency. So, let us add column for the difference of the class mark and the mean. So, to calculate the deviation, so, subtract the mean from each midpoint. Okay, so yan po yan. Kailangan makuha muna natin yung mean para mas makuha natin yung difference nung kada midpoint. Midpoint of each classes. Next, number 7. So, once na nakuha na natin yung difference ng mean tsaka yung midpoint, yung deviation, so para makuha natin square deviation, square natin yon. Halimbawa, yung nakuha nating difference is 4.5. O kaya, negative 4.5. In-square natin yon, magiging positive lagi yon. So, hindi natin kailangan dito yung absolute value. It's because yung negative value na makukuha natin dun sa difference, so square natin yon, automatically magiging positive. And then number 8, add column for the product of the frequency and the square deviation. And then, kunin din natin yung summation nung product na yon. And then, calculate the variance using the formula. So, make sure nakuha lahat natin na kumpleto lahat natin yung mga kailangan isulat dun sa table para mabilis nating makakompute yung variance and standard deviation. So, for variance, that is the formula. And then, sabi ko nga, yung standard deviation, extract natin yung square root ng variance. Madali na lang po yun. So, by the way, dun sa formula, so f is the frequency, x sub m is the midpoint, x is the mean, and n is the total frequency. So, ito naman po ang formula for standard deviation. Yung mismong square root ng variance. Okay. So, let us now have the sample problem. So, the table below shows the third quarter grades of grade 7 Mabini in mathematics. Find the variance in standard deviation. So, for this problem, so we are talking about quarterly grades. Okay, so grades ng mga students. So, as you can see, yung highest grade, possible grade na pwedeng makuha ng bata dyan is 99. And then the lowest possible grade is 75. Anyway, 75 is still a passing grade. And then on the second column, you can see frequency. Ibig sabihin, how many students got a grade of 95 to 99. Okay, from the range na class 95 to 99. So, tatlo po yan. So, you can see, yung 85 to 89, yun yung pinaka mataas ang frequency. Ibig sabihin, maraming students ang nakukuha ng grades na ganyan from 85 to 89. So, step 2. Okay, so for the second step, kasi given na yung frequency distribution table natin. Anyway, pag hindi siya given, pwede naman natin yun i-construct. So, usually given naman agad yan, yung ating frequency distribution table. So, add column for midpoint. Okay. So, mag-add tayo ng column for midpoint. So, lista natin yung mga 95, grades na 95 to 99 para makiuputan nyo yung midpoint. O yung median. Okay, ayan. So, nilista natin 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. Yung pinakagitna po dyan is 97. So, yun yung magsisilbing midpoint or class mark. And then, yung class interval natin na 5, so isusubtract lang po natin yun pababa, magsimula sa 97. So, 97 minus 5, that is 92. And then, 87, 82, and then, 77. So, yan lang po yung class mark or yung midpoint na tinatawag. Step 3 to 4. So, add column for the product of the frequency and the midpoint, then get the summation. Okay, so yan. Step 3 and 4, pinagsama na natin. So, next, yung frequency, multiply natin sa class mark or yung midpoint. So, 3 times 97, that is 291. 8 times 92 will have 736. Next, 87 times 15, we have 1,305. 9 times 82, that is 738. And then 5 times 77 will have 385. And then, add natin yung mga nakuha nating product dyan para makuha natin yung summation. So, 291 plus 736 plus 1,305 plus 738 plus 385. So, the sum is 3,455. So, magagamit po kasi natin yan kapag ginuha natin yung mean. Step 5. Compute for the mean using the formula. Okay. So, yung summation na nakuha natin, 3,455, i-divide lang po natin by 40. Yun yung ating mean. So, 3,455 divided by 40. So, the result is 86.375. Okay. Or pwede rin natin yung i-round up to the nearest hundredths or 2 decimal places. That will become 86.38. So for the next step, add column for the difference of the midpoint and the mean. Okay. So yung nakuha nating mean, so sulat lang natin, is 86.38. So ngayon, yung next step natin, so yung class mark ng each classed, minusan natin nung mean. So 97 minus 86.38. So we will get 10.62. Next, 92 minus 86.38 will have 5.62. 87 minus 86.38 will have 0.62. Next, 82 minus 86.38 will have negative 4.38. Mas mataas po kasi yung value ng mean dun sa class mark, kaya negative po siya. Next, 77 minus 86.38 will have negative 9.38. Anyway, huwag tayong mag-worry kung negative ang nakuha na. May nakuha tayong negative values dyan. Kasi, on the next step, square natin yung deviations. So, ito na siya. So, square natin. So, 10.62 square. So, that is 10.62 times 10.62. And then, yung makukuha nating value is 112.7844. Next, 5.62 times 5.62 will have 31.5844. Next, 0.62 times 0.62 That is 0.3844. Next, negative 4.38 times negative 4.38, that is 19.1844. And then finally, negative 9.38 times negative 9.38, the product is 87.9844. Okay, so ganyan lang po yung process. Okay, step by step siya. So yan, step number 7 na yan. Step number 8. So add column for the product of the square deviation and frequency. So yan na usually yung last step natin sa table. Kasi yung kasunod na steps, 9 and 10, kukompute na natin yung variance and standard deviation. So ayan. So yung frequency natin na 3, multiply natin sa 112.7844. So 3 times 112.7844 will have 338.3532. Next, 8 times 31.5844, that is 252.6752. So reminder lang, hindi tayo makakarating dyan sa last column, yung pang 7th column natin, unless wala po yung 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Okay, kasi yung frequency lang dyan ang given, tsaka yung class. Next, 15 times 0.3844 will have 5.766. Next, 9 times 19.1844 will have 172.6596. Next, 5 times 87.9844 will have 439.922. So, ayan. Nakuha na natin yung product ng frequency tsaka yung square deviations. So, next step natin, i-add lang po natin yan para makuha natin yung summation. So, 338.3532 plus 252.6752 plus 5.766 plus 172.6596 and then plus 439.922. So, yung sum natin dito is 1,209.376. Okay. So, ayan, meron na tayong summation na nakuha. So, for step 9, calculate the variance. Using the formula, yan. So, yung summation of the product of the frequency and the square deviation all over n minus 1. So, yung nakuha nating summation is 1,209.376. Okay. Next, divide natin sa 40 minus 1. So, divide natin yan sa 39. So, 40 minus 1 is 39. So, yung makukuha nating quotient is 31.01. Okay, approximately equal to 31.01. Next, extract the square root of the variance to determine the standard deviation. So, yung nakuha nating value, square root natin, 31.01. So, square root of 31.01 will have approximately equal to 5.57. Okay, so yan yung standard deviation kung gaano kalalayo yung mga grades ng mga students. Sulat natin dito, S is equal to 5.57. So for our next video lesson, we will now be discussing on how to use appropriate statistical measures in analyzing and interpreting statistical data. So dyan magagamit na natin yung measures of central tendency and variability. So ay mga situations akong i-discuss dyan, ipe-present, and then titignan natin kung ano yung akmang statistical measures na dapat gamitin. Tandaan, hindi lahat ng gusto nating measures pwede dun sa problem. Siyempre, it depends upon the given problem. So, hindi naman lahat pwedeng gamitan natin ng mean, ng variance, ng standard deviation, ng mode. Depende po siyempre dun sa given problem. So, yun lang. Maraming salamat.